last set of words, which is the words, I forgive you. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5 in the NIV version says, love keeps no record of wrongs. I like the Message version because it says, love doesn't keep score of the sins of others. I think many of us know, maybe you yourself know how it's like to argue or to engage in conflict with a record keeper. That every time you engage in an argument with this person, this person has this uncanny ability of going through their file cabinet and looking up your old transcripts and making sure that you understand this is what you did last year, this is what you did last month. Do you remember that one time we had this conversation? You actually have not changed your behavior. A record keeper always attaches your past to the present. And they sound a little bit like this. Honey, you've always had a problem with this. Or sweetheart, last year at this time, do you remember this was the exact conversation we had? Or why do you always do this? Or why can't you ever do that? Andy Stanley says a person can be exactly right and yet end up exactly alone. Filers or record keepers can always justify their truth-telling, but eventually they will truth the life right out of their most valued relationships. That's why the question for us to consider is between a filer and a forgiver, between a record keeper and someone who is able to release the pains and hurts of the past. Who are you closest to? Whose influence do you gravitate towards? Now, to be in this posture of forgiveness is not just an occasional act. Jesus teaches us that forgiveness is a constant attitude. Rather, forgiveness is a way of life. Matthew chapter 18 in the English Standard Version. Then Peter came up and said to him, Lord, how often will my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many as 7 times? Then Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. I think that's interesting because Peter was trying to be clever with Jesus. Because apparently at that time, if you were to ask a rabbi or a teacher of the law this question, the recommendation for you is 3 times. So it was as if Peter was saying, Jesus, I'm being generous. The recommendation is 3 times you should forgive a person who's asking for forgiveness. But I think 7 is a good number. Thinking that he can outsmart or outwit Jesus. But again, Jesus' reply does away with all kinds of limitations and calculations. Jesus answered unexpectedly that we are to forgive those who are asking for forgiveness an unlimited number of times. Unlimited is surely the idea behind his answer of up to 77 times. It would be strange if Jesus expected us to count offenses against us up to, let's say, an arbitrary number of 490 times, and then at the 491st offense to deny forgiveness of that person. It was Jesus' way of communicating that forgiveness, the extending of this forgiveness, of expressing love keeps no record of wrong. It's not an occasional act. It is a constant attitude, a way of life. And for our families, this is very important. Tyler Perry, forgiveness is important in families, especially when there are so many secrets that need to be healed. For the most part, because every family's got them.